Yesterday, we saw $1 billion to help women escape violent relationships, and that'll form part of a cross-government response to domestic violence. Age verification measures will also be trialled for online pornography, while deep fake content is set to be criminalised. It comes after yesterday's National Cabinet meeting between the Prime Minister and the state and territory leaders. Joining me live now is Independent MP Dai. Dai, thanks so much for your time. As our correspondent Trudy pointed out, a lot of these measures don't actually help women now. It's about a year until they come into effect, or at least a couple of months.
Yes, my understanding is over 5 years, and it's not going to come into effect, I think, till next year in July 2025. Look, Laura, I think we know that rates of domestic violence are more likely to increase when families are under household financial pressures. And this is according to the Women in Economics Network. And I think that we are now all facing this cost of living pressures, financial stress, and in families, especially in Western Sydney, in low socioeconomic communities. These pressure will put a lot of, and I think we will see a rise in increase in family domestic violence. I think the issue with this funding announcement, while it's welcome to help, women escape. Now, many women find it hard to leave domestic violence household, first of all. But the thing is, the sector has been crying out for the frontline services, early intervention for years. So governments, multiple governments across all levels, should be aware of this issue, and no funding for such as shelters, such as refuge for women and children. Last night I had a youth advisory committee, and they raised this with me. It's about places where women and children can move to, because they're constantly on the move. And where is the funding for housing or temporary accommodation for women and children, for instance? Early intervention. Some of the young boys in my youth advisory committee suggested, talk about there's no programs at a school level to support school, to teach young men and young girls to obviously have a social interaction, respect, and communication. So while we give the money at the top here, the problem here is on the grassroots level. So no one's talking about that. But the sector has been crying out and has been informing multiple governments about this issue, and they're really overstretched. So how is this another program going to address that? I don't know how the government think this is going to address that whole issue of domestic violence.